Welcome to the latest episode of the Informing Choices mini-pod. Identity economics is a branch of economics that explores how our identities influence our economic decisions. It argues that people can be motivated by a desire to maintain a consistent sense of self, which in turn means that our identities can play a role in determining our choices about work, about consumption, and other economic activities. So the question we're addressing today is, how can generative AI and other technology and change drivers impact the evolution of an identity economy across life, society, and business? I've got three great people to talk about that question: Gina Clifford, Rob Tyrie, and Sylvia Gallusser. Sylvia, what are your thoughts? Because we were talking about the identity economy last time, weren't we?
Absolutely. And you mentioned generative AI, but I also wanted to mention there are a lot of other technologies contributing also to that digital identity. And we've seen for a while blockchain and tokenization and the start of experimentations around universal digital wallets, digital credentials, security thanks to blockchain technology to secure that type of identity. Very recently, we saw that Arkansas State University is now offering secure access to digital diplomas in addition to physical copies to their graduating students. Also, we saw that HSBC is building a decentralized identity solution powered by Polygon to open HSBC accounts, log into account, make purchase, apply for loans, and so on, with a focus on privacy, decentralization, and user data self-sovereignty. We saw also in travel, the IATA is testing a fully integrated digital identity travel experience, from shopping for flights to arrival, with effortless travel requirement check and contactless airport experience. So all the thoughts and the technology around digital identity have been there for a while. I think with generative AI, we're reaching another level where we talk about deep fakes, we talk about a lot of things in the previous podcast, but our identity can now be harnessed. We can have kind of a digital clone of ourselves, like a chatbot. We saw that Meta made some experimentation of a few personas based on personality identities, harnessing them so people can interact with them. And almost like everyone can now go on retirement and have their digital clone make money for themselves. So yeah, I'm really excited about everything that's going on. And that's why we came up with the concept of an identity economy in the years to come, as the same way we used to have the creator economy. Now it's not our creation that are harnessed, but our very own identities, our biometrics, our digital selves, our digital twin, and so on. So I'd be really curious to hear what Rob and Gina and yourself, Steve, have to say about what you see on your end.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sylvia. And one of the things, Rob, that you mentioned to me was, there are two things particularly, I think, that pay attention to this. One is that you might imagine that everyone will need to have a digital identity in the future in order to be hired by a firm. And secondly, and I really like this, that human celebrities on Earth and the moon will delegate interviews to varying levels of their digital identities, with increasing costs for access, like tiered subscription plans, but for personal information instead of entertainment content. Talk us a little bit through those ideas, because I think they pay attention particularly to what you were talking about then, Sylvia.
I think this exploration that Sylvia's kicked off on thinking about digital identity is fundamental in our understanding of what it is to be a citizen and be a participant in the economy, multiple economies. I think that resistance is futile. Everyone will have a digital ID. Anyone in of the 190, what is it, 96 countries in the UN? Is it 96? 196? Used to be 192. It keeps changing.
It keeps changing.
The majority of them have a way of identifying citizens and a way to participate in the economy somehow. So it really is here. And when I look to what will happen in the future, I look to the celebrities. The celebrities all in our world all have digital identities. The most famous people in the world, whether they're tier 1 or tier 2 celebrities, have digital identities. Obama is probably the most recognizable citizen in the world because of his digital identity, from his speeches to his videos to his presentations everywhere, and then into the popular media. So I think that this technology with large language models, what it does automatically are things that people have to pay a lot of money for, to register yourself, to get yourself on the right databases, to get yourself on television. Getting yourself on television in 1968 was a big deal.
Yeah.
Making a movie was a big deal. Getting yourself on a YouTube channel, or better yet, Gina's TikTok channel. Oh, she's not on TikTok. There's no way in the world you're on TikTok, right? That was just a joke. But getting on your YouTube Short is safe. It's frictionless. So that inspires me that in 10 years, you will have a body of evidence that surrounded yourself that is your body of knowledge, that has a lot of your fingerprints on it, that is a you-ness, whether you like it or not. I remember when I was briefing my kids, and yeah, I'm that kind of guy. I used to brief my kids when they were little and entering social media. I'm briefing you. What's the opposite of privacy? Is the question. The opposite of privacy is publicity. You have to be your own PR. If you want privacy, you have to manage your publicity. So this is part of that, forming your digital identity. And I've got some clues and some really simple tasks I ask people to do if they want to get ready for their digital identity future that's beyond their passport or beyond their digital ID card. And one of the countries I watched the closest is Estonia, of course, because on the advent of digital government in Estonia, the prediction of dystopia was high, was crisis level. Tell me about the scandals in Estonia. Productivity and enhancement, their security worries are different than the worry about their government in being efficient. So I think it's highly effective, it's highly efficient. Everyone should have a digital idea in themselves, like a theory, and they should use the techniques that are available to them. And then it's going to be frictionless. Like no one's going to say blockchain, no one's going to say anything like crypto or anything funny, anything unusual. It'll just be a part of being a citizen.
I like that idea of the kind of transition, the normalization, I guess, which is obviously what Sylvia was talking about in one of the scenarios. So, first of all, love the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. Excellent. Gina, I think you need a right to reply there, don't you, about TikTok or perhaps something else?
I am not on TikTok. Rob nailed it. Good job, Rob. But I think the Gen Zs and Gen A, they're all over it. That's their media, that's their platform. And Rob's right. They're more than anything want the ability to be famous. I get maybe that's the wrong word. Maybe it's just publicity. Some of these young people are doing great. They're crushing it on TikTok. They're creating content that other people want to see and be part of, and they're starting trends. So I think if nothing else, if you think about where that goes in the future and AI becomes a bigger part of our technologies, it enables everybody to get to those levels. Like Rob said, in 1968, there was very much limited technology that could help you get on television. And today, it's a great equalizer. Anybody with a great idea, it's passion, and a little bit of showmanship, I guess, charisma, you can start a show and make a career being an entertainer or being a teacher, helping people learn just about anything. Doesn't matter how niche it is. It opens up the world to more connection and collaboration. But I think that also Gen Z and Gen A, it's terrible to stereotype a whole generation or two of people, but a lot of people that are coming to prominence in those generations very much are pushing back against the status quo of this is how work has to be, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, where you live, how you live. They want a balance. They want their passion to be and their life to be balanced with their work. And there's a thing, I think it's on TikTok, the lazy girl jobs. Have you heard about that? Any of you? It's kind of a thing. Maybe Sylvia knows about it, where Gen Zs are talking about they want jobs that don't require a lot of work to do because they want time to live their authentic lives. So if AI enables them to do that, I see the sky's the limit. That's
It's
my take on it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How these technologies, a bit like I suppose we saw the start of it with people creating businesses out of creating content on YouTube. But this actually takes it to a whole nother level, doesn't it? And we're often talking about what's the potential risks within society with greater automation. And perhaps one of the opportunities that those same technologies represent is through the identity economy to create new value for people, new value in audio, media content on the existing platforms in the metaverse or whatever it is. How do you see that transition? Is that a realistic transition, do you think, Sylvia, or is that part of the future identity economy?
Well, that's a hard one. Maybe a few reactions first. So first of all, I love that we talk about different generation, and always interested to see your views on generational aspects, Gina. I have at home a teenage girl. She's 12 years old, and she's launching a podcast, and she starts to be a small influencer at her level. At the same time, in the past, at this age, I wouldn't like her to be on social media or whatever. What she does these days, thanks to generative AI, is all the pictures she put of herself are AI generated, or with face swap. She plays with those tools so that nobody knows her real face or real appearance. She uses every day a tool that's called Be Fake. I don't know if you know it. It's like Be Real, but mainly you have a few minutes to post a picture of yourself, which is AI modified. So it's very fun to play with. So for me, when I see that use case, I feel actually less worried than in the past when I would see teenagers or know about teenagers being so much exposed on social media, because I feel there's kind of a filter, like an additional filter, not the snap filter, but a filter between, or screen between who she is and the persona, which is kind of a persona she creates that lives on social media. So we're already living that split between the individual and the digital copy or the digital persona. And for me, that's just a signal of what is going to happen, that more and more we will have this distinction between who we are in our everyday life with our close one who see us and the one that we are on those platforms. And it goes one step further with influencers and what we've seen these past years. I really think it's like this digital twins we've been talking about that live themselves, their own life, that have their own autonomy on social platform. So I'm sorry I didn't reply exactly to your question, but that was a few thoughts that brought.
What I think was really interesting is that you've really eloquently described the benefits of deep fakes, if I can use that term. And it's almost as if, this is the same technology, isn't it, that gives us benefits and can be misused, which is pretty much the same as any tool, from a hammer, a screwdriver, a car, through to artificial intelligence. And we do
Absolutely.
risk getting sucked into a dystopian perspective on these technologies, but they're great opportunities, aren't they?
Yeah, and what I want to mention, because we talked a lot about news and journalism in the previous episode, but also that's something very interesting now. It's for a long time, like journalism, like for a long time, for a few months, journalism and news organization have seen generative AI as risk. And some companies in entertainment, one big company that works with actors and entertainers and so on, they don't want to use at all generative AI within the company because they don't want to create more tension with the Writers Guild and so on. That's really interesting to see like this type of action. Now, what I think is interesting is how you turn this into an opportunity. What generative AI can do to serve accessibility, to serve diversity, to fight against bias. And there are opportunities. So I've been studying with a few media company how, for example, you can use generative AI to provide more subtitles for the hard of hearing and so on. So it's really interesting to see that you can use generative AI to provide more diversity, and it's not always the other way around, that it's a risk. I think more and more we should investigate those use cases. Now, what are the needs of society, and how can generative AI and other technology help us solve those issues, instead of just seeing how they are like creating tensions and so on.
And perhaps to some extent, though, that goes back to trust. Can we have trust in the use of these technologies, the way that they're used, the way they're deployed, the way they're developed? I'm really conscious of time. So given that idea that actually we can let the media do all the dystopian stuff about these new technologies, what do each of you see as the real positives associated with an identity economy? Who wants to go first?
I'll take a shot at three things. Number one, frictionless entrepreneurship. Want to start a business? Start a business. If I'm known and how to know, that's great. Number two, mobility. Digital identity. If I'm a person, I'm well known, I can whisk across borders when I want to. I'm mobile. And then given my identity, I can do different things. Number three, education. If I have a digital identity, coming into it, I get access to different things. And then it's also proven that if I get a credential, that there's some safe place that, oh, I know Rob physically and digitally. And then when I transport that mobility, I have that credential follow me around. Three things.
Brilliant. Lovely. Thanks, Rob. Gina.
I love Rob's vision. Rob, I'm with you on that. I love the frictionless everything, and just being a citizen of the world, and it just makes everything easy. I want to take it maybe one step further and say, when I'm not traveling, I want my digital identity, and I think we talked about it in the last podcast, maybe Sylvia talked about it, to actually do work for me in my stead. So I don't have to do it and still get paid. And so I can travel and enjoy seeing the world, investigating my personal interests. And if I want to start a business, maybe part of that business is a passion project. Maybe I want to do something in the art world or something. And I can use Rob's vision to create that. But at the moment that it's not fun anymore, I want to be able to turn my digital identity onto it and to have it start automatically doing that work for me. And then I move on to something else. And that's my vision.
Lovely. And perhaps that's many people's vision about how we should be using these tools, so that we get to do the good, fun stuff and the technology does all the drudgery. Sylvia.
Yeah, I completely align, and I find it brilliant. Rob and Gina, I completely agree. I would probably add another component to it. I'm thinking like what happened with the platform economy, the fact that with those type of new economy, the platform economy, then the creator economy, now the identity economy, it also provides individuals with empowered means for new monetization. And I'm thinking, we used to think about work as, okay, you go to work for a big corporation or institution and you gain a salary. And then work started to be defragmented. Like you have pieces of tasks that you can complete throughout the day. Like you can deliver and get paid for delivering something. You can bring people from one place to the other while you're traveling, and you can get money out of it and so on. And then there was the same with creator economy. Like you can actually sell all you can be a creator, like all the personalities that have been on the media system. Now individuals can become creators and so on. So I also see a component of that in the identity economy, that everyone can be empowered and be creative about how they can harness some aspect of what they do. Like you're a teacher, how can you create like a twin of yourself and teach online? You're a coach, how can you create also out of your identity like a super coach online and so on? And just want to mention, we've been talking about about TikTok and personalities and so on, you've probably heard about Grimes. So they have children with Elon Musk. So that's a big part of the story. What you might not know is the artists they are, and they do a lot of experimentation with AI. So recently I read that in Wired, Grimes was saying, I'll split 50% royalties on any successful AI-generated song that uses my voice. And for me, that's really like a great encapsulation of what the identity economy is about. You can lend your voice, you can lend your talent, you can lend your face, you can lend any aspect of yourself to be harnessed. And that's also new ways to be creative, not just with like more traditional media creation, but also with more personal aspect of yourself. So I guess that will open new opportunities for people who lost their job in this time where unemployment is in tech, especially, is unfortunately getting higher.
Lovely, thank you, Sylvia. And for me, I think I definitely buy into Rob's notion of seamless travel. The aviation sector has been talking about that for years, and perhaps it's just within touch. And I think I'd also like to think that Steve, the other Steve, could be speaking all over the world. But what the other Steve would also do is bring me back all the ideas and feedback so that I, as well as my digital self, can be constantly learning about all these kind of wonderful ideas. Gina, Rob, Sylvia, thank you so much for your time. That's been absolutely extraordinary. I've kept you for far longer than I was imagining. But as I say, thank you so much for your time. This has been wonderful. And thank you everyone for listening. Do let your friends and colleagues know about the Informing Choices mini pod, and we'll see you on another episode very soon.